Hey there, my name is Cassie Torresillas, and 8 years ago, I launched my own online graphic design studio and booked a one-way ticket to travel the world in pursuit of my own freedom-filled life. I now own a multi-million-dollar online business, The Bucket List Bombshells, teaching other women how to do the same, alongside my best friend, co-founder, and podcast co-host, Shay Brown. Around here, we believe that your crazy dreams aren't crazy, and that it's time for you to start creating the life and career that you dream about too. Whether you want to travel and work remotely, or simply just want to be your own boss, it's possible to live out your passion and purpose without just scraping by. We know that this path isn't always easy to navigate though, so we're here to help you. From making a career change, starting and growing your own business, balancing life and business, and most importantly, pursuing your own freedom-filled life. Get ready for real, relatable stories and advice on your journey towards something more. We serve it up BFF style, so pour yourself that third cup of coffee and let's dive in. Welcome to the Freedom-Filled Life Podcast.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Freedom Filled Life Podcast. I am your host, Shay, one of the founders of Bucket List Bombshells. And today I am sitting down with Kelsey Formost from Find Your Magic. I am super excited to be chatting with her. Her podcast called Find Your Magic. I was just on last week. We had such a fun time chatting about high touch point services and trends that I'm seeing work well for service-based entrepreneurs in this sort of post-pandemic landscape. So head on over to her podcast after this episode called Find Your Magic. So Kelsey and I were introduced earlier this year, and I'm just so excited to bring her on and chat all things copywriting business, as well as how she balances her mental health and prioritizes her mental health within her business, which I know is a passion of yours, Kelsey. So I would love to just dive right into it. And so
Get in, nerds. We're writing copy.
Yay. I love it. We have so many service-based entrepreneurs in our audience, lots of copywriters, or lots of people who are building online businesses and need to know copywriting. So yes. I would just love for you to tell us a little bit about the business that you own and the services that you offer.
Totally. Thank you. What an introduction. I always, whenever I say that, I think of, we're in spooky season when this comes out, and the movie Hocus Pocus, the best movie ever made in the history of the world. When Bette Midler goes, "Thank you, Max, for that marvelous introduction." And that's how I feel right now. And I'm like, thank you, Shay, for that marvelous introduction. So shout out Hocus Pocus lovers. So let's talk about copywriting. So if you don't know what copywriting is, it's all good. I'll explain it real quick, real simple. Copy is anywhere there are words that represent you, your brand, or your business. So like literally everything, your website, your emails, your social posts, your bios, your freebies, your product descriptions, everywhere there are words, that's your copy. Copywriting is using those words to connect with your ideal customer and get them to take a desired action. So that's what I love about copywriting, because a lot of times people think they sort of know what copywriting is. They think it's just writing. It's not. It's making someone take an action as a result of reading or hearing your words. So like kind of important if you want somebody to, buy something, you need to be able to convince them to take an action. And again, that action can be anything. It can be subscribe to an email list. It could be enroll in a $10,000 membership program and everything in between. All copywriting is psychological magic tricks that help people understand you know their pain points and you are there to help. And you're the best one to help. So that's copy in a nutshell, copywriting in a nutshell. So what do I do specifically? So I founded my company, Magic Words Copywriting, back in 2019 and 2018. Wow. What is time?
I know, right?
What is time? And I started out as a freelance copywriter, and I was working with hundreds of mostly female business owners, helping them first understand who they were, because that was kind of a interesting mental health side effect. Was I was talking to people about building their personal brands, and it actually, like, it was pretty emotional for a lot of people, because if you don't know who you are, you definitely can't build a successful brand. So put a pin in that. We'll talk about that for sure.
Wow.
So I started with this freelance copywriting, done for you services, and I started to feel icky. Like a year into it, I started to feel icky because I was raising my rates and I was making more money than ever. But I felt icky because people were having to hire me over and over and over again. And they were paying me all this money, which was great for my bank account, but not great for my like ethical, moral compass. And I thought, I really could teach these women how, like, a few copywriting magic tricks so they can at least understand the basics, so that they don't have to spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every time they need to write something for their business. That just doesn't make sense. And I don't feel good about that. So I spent a long time taking a bunch of different copywriting classes, and then a bunch of classes and courses in other areas of business to understand, okay, what types of teaching are effective? Like wanting to make sure that there's video and audio and a written transcript, because people learn differently. Short and sweet videos and lessons work better for me. Like really wanting to build the course I wish I'd had. And that now exists today as my signature course, Copy Class. So my business today is mostly courses, because I think it's so much more valuable for people to learn how to write their own high converting copy. Also templates, if you're just like, I need this shit done yesterday. Oh, sorry. Can I curse?
Go for it. I think Great. I might have to, I'm not sure. I might have to bleep that out.
Okay. If people are like, I need this done yesterday, just give me the pre-written stuff and I'll adjust it for my brand. There are templates that I have for that. And then I am just now starting to bring back my one-to-one services and potentially a membership in 2023. So I'm very excited to be getting back into that high touch point space and really connecting with people one-on-one again. So that's Magic Words Copywriting. That's copywriting in general. What else you got, girl?
I love that. I mean, I loved your original explanation, the first part where you were telling us about copywriting. I haven't really heard someone articulate it so well in terms of what it is. I really enjoyed that. So, and of course,
I'd better be able to do it.
Oh, well, that's true. Yeah, that's true. I'm like, oh, I'm so mind blown because that's not really my area. So I really loved how you explain that.
Thank you.
I love that you create a courses, and I'm the course creator. I love that aspect of teaching and sharing and the self-paced courses. And I'm curious though, you mentioned you're bringing back one-on-one services. Can I ask, what was the change there? What inspired you to bring that type of service back?
Yes. So right before COVID hit, I had a very large corporate client come to me to redo all of their materials, their brand, their website, literally everything. And they ended up hiring me full time as their director of content. And so when that happened, I made that decision because at the time I was going through some personal life changes. I was moving in with my partner at the time. There were just some things in flux in other areas of my life. And I also want to normalize this. It is okay to have seasons where you take a step back and your business becomes a side project for a while or a passion project for a while. That's okay. It is not failing to do that. And I think there's a lot of noise and miscommunication about that. Like if you take a step back, then that means you failed. Not the case at all. It just means you're redirecting your energy and growing in a different way. So that was at the beginning of 2020 when I came on full time and to this bigger company, this startup. And I, at that time, was like, I'm just going to do the education piece because I still love connecting with people. I still love teaching people. I was still doing podcasts and writing articles and guesting in other people's memberships. I just wasn't doing the done for you copy anymore. And I miss it.
Oh.
I miss it. It's been a couple of years since I stopped doing done for you one-to-one services, and I'm really starting to miss it. And I'm in a new season in my personal life, which is much happier and much more aligned and stable and positive. And so that has really allowed me over the past year to reinvest in the business in a way that isn't like the hustle culture, soul sucking, totally dependent on the finances. I'm sure everybody knows that feeling where you're just like, oh, the thing that used to bring me joy is now like this gremlin that requires way too much of my energy and my time. So now I'm back in that space where I'm like, I'm feeling creative again. And I'm feeling like I've really missed that one-to-one connection. And I'm slowly opening that back up.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you are saying, giving yourself permission, or the way that you describe that, stepping back as not a failure, as like something you're doing for yourself, as a choice, because I've actually never heard someone explain it like that. A lot of people, I feel like when they have that feeling, the gremlin feeling, because I know so many people who have reached that level, they actually step away like completely, either from certain parts or from the business as a whole. And I think they see it, as this failure, or as this thing of like, I need to like close that, down and, move on. And I love that you took this time away and you scaled back, and then you made it a part. You didn't make it a negative thing. It was just still there, became a passion project while you're pursuing other things. And now your passion has reignited, and you're learning how to, fulfill that again. I think that's just a really cool journey. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah. And the other thing I want to say about it is being able to scale back and still have so much running in the background was because I learned how to write my own copy. And I know my business is copywriting, but I really want people to understand. And obviously, if you're listening to the Freedom Filled Life podcast, if you've been in any courses with Bucket List Bombshells, you know the power of giving yourself the freedom. Like digital business creates space for personal freedom.
Yes.
And copy allowed me to maintain the same brand presence that I did as when I was full-time running my business. So because my brand voice stayed consistent, and because I knew how to write an email sequence that could then drip out when someone downloaded a freebie, because I already had a really solid bio to send out to podcasts, because I already had written presentations for, going into other people's membership programs. I chose where I wanted to spend my time, and copywriting allowed me to maintain consistency literally over the course of a couple of years.
Wow.
And be able to seamlessly come back in, because my personal brand is the same, because my personal brand is so aligned still to this day with who I am and what I do.
Wow, that's really powerful. And kind of to follow up with that in terms of, alignment and your business, how did you get started, and how did you, define that alignment and those, make it so cohesive, I guess?
Yeah. Okay. So there's a couple of parts to this answer. So I'll start by saying this is very fun. People always are like, what? When I tell them this, I actually did not start out in business traditionally at all. I was an actress. I was a professional. I was a successful professional actress and a screenwriter, but mostly actress. for over 10 years. I worked with the Royal
Whoa.
Shakespeare Company. I did plays off Broadway. I was in I was in famous TV shows like New Girl, Modern Family. I'm in a movie with Zac Efron. Like I know. Right? Yes, he's as hot as he is in person, although shorter than you might expect. Just do without as you will. So on paper, I had a very glamorous, very successful life, right?
Mm-hmm.
I call it Devil Wears Prada syndrome. A million girls would kill for that job, right?
Yeah.
If you've ever seen Devil Wears Prada, I love that line.
I love that movie. So, and I see it. I see that whole exactly kind of essence and life you're mentioning.
And I feel like a lot of your listeners probably have their version of a million girls would kill for that job, right?
I think so.
Whether it's the glamorous life of a Hollywood actress or it is the high-powered corner office in the financial service firm, whatever it looks like to you.
Yeah.
I think most entrepreneurs can identify with that feeling of I'm in a situation, I should be grateful, but I'm not. I'm uneasy. I'm not fulfilled. And I know what it feels like to be fulfilled. And this ain't it. Or this ain't it anymore.
Yeah.
So I had that back in, I would say 2017, especially when the Me Too movement really was at its height. I thought, wow, there are a lot of sort of little things that I have told myself are normal or okay that honestly really aren't. And I started to really examine not just, is this the work I want to be doing, but is this the life I want to be living? And the answer was no. And what I did was I took a good year of really doing soul searching and really identifying, okay, what was it about acting that drew me to it in the first place? And are there other careers where I can maybe reignite that spark? And long story short, what I found that I loved about acting was when people recognized themselves in a story. Like if someone was watching a movie and be like, oh my God, that's exactly like my dad. Or I totally do that thing. Or, oh, that's hilarious. My brother is exactly that way. Like when people saw themselves in a story, that was what was exciting to me. And I'll spare everyone the whole story, but I found copywriting through a friend who was a copywriter. And I was like, oh, I can help women tell their stories so their ideal customers can see themselves in their brand. And that can help them, make money, but more than that, like give them freedom in their lives. Like that's huge. Like that's a calling. That's not a business. That's a calling.
Oh, I love that.
And it's so true. Like, I know it sounds dramatic to say copywriting can truly be the springboard off of which you create the life that you've been dreaming of. But honestly, if you start there with who am I? How do I serve people? How do I want to show up in the world? And go from there, there is no limit. There is no limit.
Yeah. Wow, what an impactful story. And I mean, I thought I knew the story, and now I just like feel like I was on that ride with the audience, getting to know you. And just thank you so much for sharing in like such depth and being so vulnerable and sharing that story with us. I think it's a magical journey, to take your magic word.
Yes. Well, it's interesting because I know in our conversation on my podcast, we discussed talking about pages.
Yes.
And one of the things on my about page is explaining why I chose the name Magic Words Copywriting for my business. And magic is my favorite word. It's always been my favorite word. I quoted Hocus Pocus at the beginning of this podcast for sobbing out loud. But I love the word magic because it implies that we make it. It is very active. We make magic, right? We say the spell, we make the potion, we click our heels 3 times. It's action oriented, which means we have the power. It doesn't just happen to us. We're the ones holding the magic wand. And in my case, the magic wand happens to be a pen.
Or a keyboard.
Or a keyboard.
I love that. You mentioned the About page, and I know on your podcast, we promised our listeners that we would do a little workshop of an About page. So I figure why not do that right now and get into it? So can you walk us through a little About page workshopping?
Absolutely. Look at that segue, folks. She's done this before. Okay. So on Find Your Magic, on my episode with Shay, we talked about how one of the biggest mistakes a lot of entrepreneurs make is their About page is about them or even about their business. And while there are aspects of your About page that can allude to that, it is not the meat of the About page, and it should absolutely not be your lead in. So start there. What happens instead? I shall tell you. So first, I'm going to give you a little bit of a taste of what it's like in copy class and tell you how a web page should in general be structured. So when you land, think about when you type in like www.whatever.com and you hit go. We used to have 3 seconds to capture someone's attention. Today we have 0.8.
Oh.
Right? I know. Isn't that horrifying?
That is horrifying.
It's horrifying. We don't even have a full 1/1000 to get someone's attention, which means the very first thing on your page has to be so impactful that the only goal of the first thing on your web page is to get people to keep reading. That's it. The goal of every headline of any page of your website is to get people to keep reading, period. So yeah, with a T, period. So thank you, Mama RuPaul. So knowing that, what do we put in that headline? That's a lot of fucking pressure. I'm sorry. It's a lot of pressure. So what I like to say is start with your headlines and start with the first headline, and it should be a value proposition. What's a value proposition? A value proposition is the number one thing you do or sell that your competition doesn't offer, that your audience actively wants. So when someone lands on a page, think of that value proposition as there's like a main one, and that goes on your home page, but every page should have its own value proposition. So when someone lands on your About page, what is it that they're there to do? It's usually to answer a question. So I always recommend that people use their About page main headline. They phrase it as a question. So mine is, you might be wondering, what is copywriting exactly? So think about what question is in your reader's mind when they land on that About page and start there. Now let's talk about the structure of every page in general. It's just something I call levels of awareness. So when someone lands on your web page, you almost can think of it like a V, like a funnel. At the top of the page, they have low awareness. They might know a little bit about you and what you do, but they're not going to know everything. And as they scroll down the web page, we want to bring them a little higher awareness, a little higher awareness, a little higher awareness, until by the end of the page, they know exactly who you are and what you do and how you can help them, right? So keep that in mind as we talk. Now, About page specifically, if we're thinking about levels of awareness, we need to make sure first, they are aware of our industry and our niche. So for me, you might be wondering what copywriting is exactly. Copywriting is the art and science of getting people to take a desired action through your words. And then I go into awareness of my customers' specific pain points and problems. So now we're building that awareness a little bit more, right? So I am aware that you might feel like a deer in the headlights when you sit down to write something for your business. I'm aware that you also might be a verbal vomiter and you feel like you're constantly just vomiting into the echo chamber of the internet and nothing ever lands. I'm aware that you feel like your words are good, but they're not converting and you don't know what to do about it. I'm aware of your problem. I am now to the next level of awareness. I am aware of the solution. And here it is. It is either my templates, my courses, or I can work with you one-on-one if you're really, really struggling. And if none of those sound good, then here's some freebies. That is before I ever tell you who I am.
Whoa. Yeah. I just realized that.
Or fun facts about me, right?
Yes.
All of that has to happen first. Because you know why? Because you, my reader, do not care that I like French fries. Not really.
Yes.
You don't care. Like, that's nice. That's fun to know. Gives you a little context. Makes me a little more human. But is that going to help you with your problem? Not so much.
No. And I always feel kind of like a jerk whenever I'm talking to the audience, and I'm just like, I'm sorry, my students specifically, when we're doing, Q&A calls or something, I'm like, I'm sorry. They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care.
Fun facts.
The only thing in a reader's mind at any given point when they're on your website is what's in it for me. That's it. That is like the secret of copywriting right there.
And
no, I was just going to repeat it, that the only thing that people care about is what's in it for them.
And I totally agree with that. And I feel like my students have heard me say that. And I wanted to get your opinion though on when like you're trying to create a personable aspect to this about page. And if most of my audience is service-based entrepreneurs, they're going to be working one-on-one. What is your opinion about talking about yourself? Do you at some point get to talk about yourself and share fun facts? And I don't necessarily want to write that off the entire about page, but I wanted to get your opinion on it. Is that something you would put?
Totally. 2 answers. 1, get your brand voice in order, because your brand voice is how you make everything I talked about at the beginning of this for your about page. That's how you make it sound like a person and not a sales pitch or a robot. Nail your brand voice. We can talk more about that if we need to. I do think that it is valuable to use a story or and talk about yourself. But I want to stress that if you are going to talk about yourself, try to do it in such a way that your reader can envision themselves as you. So here's an example. Instead of saying, I live in blank, I started my company in this year, I have these many kids, I like Game of Thrones, whatever. Instead of listing they're not even personality traits. Instead of just listing facts about your life.
Yeah, or facts. Yeah.
Think about a story about maybe why you started your business, about a client that maybe particularly had an impact on you. We talk about, quote unquote, your why a lot. So that when someone reads the about you, it's a story, because the brain is wired to remember stories. Even better if it's a story with visual elements. So if I say, one day I was crying on the bathroom floor, immediately, that's visual, right?
Yeah, and emotional. I would like if you experienced it too. Like immediately I was like, oh, I've done that. Like I knew exactly.
This is, literally my about me section is, it was New Year's Eve, 2017. I was scrolling through social media, looking at all my friends getting engaged, married, and having babies on purpose. And I had just been fired, just been cheated on, and had just moved into my first big girl apartment where I was responsible for every bill for the first time in my life.
Wow.
That is an image that people still remember for years to come, because they either have their own version of that, or it's so emotional and it connects to them that they envisioned it and it's stuck in their brain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you are writing your about section, try to tell a story, try to paint a picture, and try to relate the story to your business.
Wow, you're just dropping nuggets of gold like here and there. Even I'm rethinking my about page right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
And I thought, I teach that too. And I was like, dang, that's some gold right there. I'm about to flip my about page on its head. So thank you for sharing that.
You're
and I
welcome.
assume that's probably something you teach inside of your copy class. Can you tell us a little bit about your copy class for those listening?
Totally. Thank you for asking. Copy class is my baby. It's just, I'm just going to brag. It's so good. And the reason it's so good is because it's not the fluffy shit you'll find on Google for copywriting. It's like intermediate level stuff, but presented in an accessible way. So even if you are, quote, not a writer or not good at writing, or you hate writing with the passion of the sun, it will, at the very least, give you formulas that you can take and immediately start to apply in your business, like yesterday. So the structure of copy class, the whole thing end to end is 3.5 hours, but it's 4 modules, and each module is broken into a theme. And each module is short lessons. Every single lesson is under 5 minutes because I understand how annoying it is to have to watch a long ass video and lose your place and be like, oh, where was that thing about that? So all the lessons are very short and sweet and to the point. Module 1 is copywriting 101. Because I know a lot of people, they buy courses, they start them and they forget about them. I still want them to get something out of this course. Even if people only did module 1, they're getting their money's worth. It is copywriting 101, how to turn features into benefits, how to start to think about your customer while you're writing, how to use customers' words in your copy. Copywriting 101. Even if they only did module 1, you'd be golden. Module 2 is all about building a brand voice and also building your specific ideal customer avatar. If you have problems niching down, that is going to be simultaneously your favorite and the most annoying module. There are worksheets in it. We really get into the nitty gritty, beyond like the age and the demographics of your ideal customer. It's about identifying, but who gonna pay me? Who gonna give me their monies? Module 3 is like in and of itself as a course, totally worth it. It's how to write a website. In it, we talk about headlines. You and I talked about that on my podcast, right? 80% of people only read headlines.
Yes.
So you need to know how to write a good one. That lesson in and of itself, amazing in copy class. How to structure your website, what you need, what you don't need, how to do the levels of awareness for every page, how to write a good call to action that isn't just learn more or subscribe here. Calls to action are hugely important.
Yes.
Everything about writing a website, module 3. Module 4 is my personal favorite though. And that's because sales happen in the inbox. Money happens in email. And module 4 is all about emails. It includes my exact template. I call it my high 5 template for writing emails. I had the cutest message actually from this lady. She was, I think, in her late 40s. She was a freaking dentist. And she wrote me and she was like, I used your high 5 email template and my revenue for my dental practice quadrupled in the month of September. And I was like, if there was ever proof in the pudding that this works, it's that this like middle-aged dentist quadrupled her revenue. So anyway, module 4 is my favorite. Email marketing, how to write emails, when to send them, like how often, what to say, and just like basically demystifying email marketing. Because I think that's where most people get hung up, because it's kind of the most consistent writing that you have to do. So I love helping people with email marketing.
Yes. And it's like you just said, that's where money is made. I think your email list is gold. We talk about that a lot as you're trying to scale. So in the beginning, I talk a lot about cold pitching via email, but at some point you do need to switch over and have free offers and have people on your email list as you're scaling, and how to write to them is just so key. And that is where money is made, is in the inboxes.
It is. And one of the lessons in copy class that I think gets glossed over a lot is that how to write your freebie. Like you just said, having freebies as your lead magnets is another way to put it. So many people they actually don't have a lead magnet, or they have one that's like, meh. Or they have one that's good, but it's not connected to their paid offer.
Yes.
So that's like a really easy, like quick thing to focus on, like in the immediate future. So
yeah, I love that. Inside the Bucket List Bombshells Collective, our business growth and community membership, this month is all about free offers, our call to actions, market research into our customer avatar. I have a really juicy customer avatar outline as well. And it's so key, and it feeds into writing your copy, but we're setting the foundation this month all around free offers specifically. So yeah, love
that makes my nerd heart sing and my freak flag fly. I love it so much.
I love it. I love it. Well, getting into a little bit more around how you got started, you're in your copywriting business. There's so many service-based business owners in our audience. They always love to know, what sort of challenges did you face, and maybe also what were some of the celebratory milestones that you hit as you were building your service-based business?
I actually, if it's okay, I'd love to start with just a debunking real quick.
Do it.
Please don't get discouraged and bogged down by like 5-figure month language. Ooh. Or like 10K months or 6-figure year. Like when you're starting out, especially if you can get to a 1K month, freaking good for you. Like set smaller milestones more often, because your job is to encourage yourself to keep going. Your job is not to follow somebody else's path. I wish I had known that at the beginning, or like maybe not known, but believed that in my soul earlier, because I love talking about mental health. I'm a mental health advocate. Entrepreneurs do not realize how much our mental health affects our business acumen and our level of success, especially financial. God, I wish there was less slimy, like money-based goal language, especially at the beginning for entrepreneurs. It's a shame spiral accelerant. Turn it off. So that's what I'll say about that.
Perfect.
As far as my personal milestones, I would say that the biggest challenge for me was technology. Feeling like I had to connect a bunch of different platforms. It almost held me back from really launching in the way that I wanted to. I got really really intentional about getting rid of a lot of platforms that I was paying for. I only use Kajabi now. If people don't know, Kajabi is a course creation platform, and they also have like email marketing and all kinds of stuff. That's where I do my podcast. And I made the conscious decision to give up some quote unquote fancier features simply because I knew that the most important thing was that I showed up consistently. And that I had a way that one person could do it all. So whether that means like connecting a bunch of things together for you, or whether that means finding one technology partner that helps, just spend some time building your technology foundation early And that will really serve you well as you grow and scale.
Yes.
Milestones for me was when I was fully financially supporting myself with copywriting and my business. That was just such a good feeling, such a good feeling. And when I started to, I think the most impactful moment for me was when I started to get testimonials from students, because, you create something, or, you put something out into the world and you don't always get feedback. But when messages started pouring in, that I just sobbed like a baby. Like that was the most incredible feeling, to be like, oh my God, this person finally like launched their website, or this person is, able to now pay for her mom's medical expenses. Those personal notes meant more to me than any 10K month ever could.
Wow, I love that. I think so many of us feel the same way. Like when I first started out, we had this email that would go out, and it would like anytime someone just came into our world, whether that was in our free offerings or our paid offerings, and it would ask them to reply and share their story. And we would get paragraph, like I was so shocked. We would get paragraphs and paragraphs of personal stories and thank you messages. And I mean, that makes it all worth it. So I couldn't agree more with you.
Yes, it really, truly does. And I think that if you're feeling uninspired in your business, that's one of the fastest ways to reignite
true.
Your flame. And it's also a piece of advice that I'd give to anybody starting out. Get testimonials like as soon as you possibly can, not just for your business, but for your mental health, to have something to come back to. Like in my darker moments, I go back and I read those comments over and over. I have I have a folder on my phone.
Oh, wow. That's beautiful. I know that we teach inside of the courses to create a folder on your desktop that's called praise or celebrations. And it's literally like just screenshot things that clients have said to you during the process, testimonials, or if you have like a social media presence, like nice things people have commented on, and remembering and reading those and kind of creating a practice around that being, something that inspires you and motivates you.
Totally. And also copywriter tip, actually take the words out of their mouth and start incorporating that in your copy. Just like look at your testimonials and be like, what do people like the most? And then put that in your value proposition.
I love it. Well, as we're wrapping up here, I just have a couple more questions left for you, and sort of piggybacking off of advice. I wanted to know, what is one piece of advice that you would give to someone who wants to grow and scale their copywriting business?
A copywriting business specifically, niche down, niche down, niche down, niche down more, niche down until the niche is so far down, you are in the depths of the niche. I cannot stress enough how important it is to get clear about your zone of genius. Not just copywriting and how you write, but the types of people you want to spend your time with. I, at the beginning, like many people, thought, oh, I don't want to niche down too much because I don't want to alienate people who want to pay me. But then I was absolutely miserable writing for like a financial services firm. I was like, I have zero business, no pun intended, doing copy for a financial services firm. Give me a life coach who's into tarot cards any day. Financial services firm, not my jam. So understand who you want to spend your time with, not just what you can do, right? Niche down, niche down.
Love it. Thank you so much. And it's been so fun chatting with you. And then my final question that I ask everyone, because this is the Freedom Filled Life podcast, how has your business or the choices that you've made as an entrepreneur provided or created a freedom filled life for you?
That's such a good question. And I want to go deeper than the surface level of like, I can work from anywhere and it's financially supporting me. Like, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have that answer. My personal deeper answer is that entrepreneurship forces you to take stock of your mental health. It forces you to understand who you are and how you want to spend your time. Burnout can be a gift. Burnout can show you where you can redirect your energy in a way that supports you instead of detracts from your life. Freedom for me means peace and presence. That means that my work should be contributing to my peace, and I should feel fully present when I'm doing it. So that's what a freedom-filled life means to me. Work that contributes to my peace and my presence so that I can live my life. It's not something that supports my life. It is part of my life. It is actively, positively contributing to the hours that I'm spending on this earth. That's what that means to me.
That was so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing.
Namaste.
I love that. Yes. I feel more peaceful just listening to that.
Right? Do you feel peaceful and present? Good. Great.
I love it. Well, I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation today, Kelsey. And thank you so much for joining me here on the Freedom Filled Life podcast. For our listeners, can you let us know where we can connect with you more after this podcast?
Absolutely. So best place to start is my website, which is kelseyformost.com/freebies. I love people to start there because I like when there's just an immediate action, right? It's not just about learning about me and how I can help you. Like, download a freebie, start doing stuff, see how it feels. That's the best place to start. kelseyformost.com/freebies. If you want to hang out with me in a more personal capacity and like see me make some stupid reels, I was an actress after all, go to Instagram and I'm at kelsey.writes, WRITES. And then, if you like podcasts like this one, if you like conversations like this one, then come on over to Find Your Magic. It's available anywhere you listen to podcasts. And it's the podcast where mental health and entrepreneurship meet. Tell me you heard me on this one. Listen to Shay's episode. We really get into some awesome stuff about high touch points and the value of that, and really that personal connection piece that's missing today in a lot of marketing. So come on over to Find Your Magic. Hang out with me on Instagram at kelsey.writes, or download some freebies at kelseyformost.com/freebies.
I love this voice that you're using too. You are an actress. You've got
right. It's that radio commercial voice.
Yes.
I can't get rid of it. It's true. So I just lean in.
You're nailing it.
Might as well.
Oh, thank you so much. And enjoy the rest of your day, Kelsey. Have a good one.
Thanks, Shay. See you soon.
Bye.
Hey there, my name is Kelsey Formost, and 8 years ago, I launched my own online graphic design studio and booked a one-way ticket to travel the world in pursuit of my own freedom-filled life. I now own a multi-million-dollar online business, The Bucket List Bombshells, teaching other women how to do the same, alongside my best friend, co-founder, and podcast co-host, Shay Brown. Around here, we believe that your crazy dreams aren't crazy, and that it's time for you to start creating the life and career that you dream about too. Whether you want to travel and work remotely, or simply just want to be your own boss, it's possible to live out your passion and purpose without just scraping by. We know that this path isn't always easy to navigate though, so we're here to help you. From making a career change, starting and growing your own business, balancing life and business, and most importantly, pursuing your own freedom-filled life. Get ready for real, relatable stories and advice on your journey towards something more. We serve it up BFF style, so pour yourself that third cup of coffee and let's dive in. Welcome to the Freedom Filled Life podcast.